Well, I raced in Wisconsin for 10 years on the short tracks, and I wanted to get involved in the racing business to make a living. And so when I look around USAC had stock cars and they had the Indy cars, but their stuff, some of it was pretty seasonal. And NASCAR starts racing in February and goes till November. And so I'm like, if I want to do this for a living, I'm going to have to go and see if I can do it in NASCAR. So that's what started it. And Chris Economacki's National Speed Sport newspaper had an ad in it for a race car for sale. It was at Henley Gray's house in Rome, Georgia. It was owned by Don Biederman from Canada. And Larry called him up, talked to him about it, and then told me about it. And Larry ended up buying the car. So I came down and picked it up, and we went through the car and, checked it all out and done a lot of work on it. And went to Daytona to run an ARCA race first. And in that ARCA race, I think we were having a good run going, and the car I was drafting behind blew out a pressure plate, went through the front bumper on that 67 Chevelle of mine and through the radiator, knocked us out of the race. We were actually loading up our stuff to come home. And one of the NASCAR inspectors came over to the ARCA garage and said, "Are you guys interested in running in the Daytona 500? The entry blanks are still open until 5 o'clock today." And I said, "Wow, maybe." And so I talked to Larry Weirs about it. And he thought, well, it's snowing in Wisconsin. What are we going to do up there? So he said, "You got to bring the car over here in the NASCAR garage and disassemble it and Magnaflux it, put it through inspection." So we said, okay, we do that. And that was the start of it. We qualified for that first race. And that was in 1968. I retired in 2002 at Daytona.
That's incredible. Wow.
So I ran 32 consecutive Daytona 500s, 33 total. I missed the race in 2000 and in 2001.
Yeah. And quite the storybook start and end. Like if you think about it, Dave, it's like a sandwich. You have the cover and the back cover, and that would be Daytona, and all these cool things you got to do in that 30 plus year, 40 plus year history in the sport. So when you think back on that time racing in the top series and for all the owners you got to race for, and certainly doing it for yourself for a majority of that, what would you say sticks out to you the most, or what would you say you're most proud of?
Well, I followed NASCAR the best I could up in Wisconsin, was a farm boy, and I read Hot Rod magazine. That's the only magazine, I guess, that was available. They covered some NASCAR stuff. The car I raced in Wisconsin, my favorite color was always blue, and so I pulled for Richard Petty as a youngster up there. And that's, I guess, why I painted my car blue also. But the first person to come over and welcome me into NASCAR when we got over there on that side was Richard Petty. It was like a dream come true. But he come over and said, "Welcome to NASCAR," and he looked my car over and he says, "Pretty nice looking car." And he had seen the car, I think, previously when Don Biederman had run some NASCAR races with him. So that was pretty exciting for starting out.
And I mean, just walk us through that first race, like what were your emotions? What was it like just being out there?
Well, I mean, when I drove in there and through that tunnel and come out on the other side and you look down to the right and holy man, I mean, this place is huge. And I mean, even I was used to running, third miles, quarter miles, 3/8, stuff like that. A few half miles, but not many. Well, it was pretty unbelievable, really. I had ran a race at Atlanta, I think, in the fall of the fall of '67. That was a NASCAR sportsman race, which James Hilton won that race. And I'm not sure where I finished in that race, maybe like 18th or something. But I mean, and Dick Trickle and he came with me. The first race I actually went to race in was the race at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the fall of '67. And we never got the car through NASCAR inspection. So, we didn't make that race, and Dick Trickle came with me, and we didn't have enough money to get back to Wisconsin. We went up in the office and talked to Richard Howard, and he gave us $150 back to Wisconsin.
Wow.
No strings attached or anything like that?
Huh?
No strings attached, didn't need to pay it back or anything?
No?
That's awesome. And you hear about that a lot too, Dave. I remember Jeff Bodine telling us a story about not making a race at Martinsville and the sanctioning body giving like tow money. So like if cars miss the field, at least, hey, well, you're not going to get some of the prize money, but here's a little bit of money to help you for your trouble and get you back home.